Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's weekly market view. This is Vishal Subban. I'm the head of trading education for Sher Khan Education. Today, we are going to be doing the weekly market view for Monday, 28th March to Friday, 1st of April, 2022. Let's deep dive down into the charts and let's look at our Trade Tiger platform. All right, we are going to first start with the Nifty analysis and let us see how the markets are looking like for this week. So let's start with the Nifty and let's start with the higher time frame chart, which is the monthly chart. So nothing has changed as much on the monthly chart. The demand zone on the monthly chart is still holding. And right now, we are in a phase where the markets are a little indecisive, obviously because of what is happening on the war front as well. So there's no clear indication. So markets will generally tend to consolidate after giving a bounce and a very strong bounce out of this monthly demand zone. Let's move on to the weekly charts. On the weekly charts, also this monthly demand zone is holding. And now we are in an area of a little bit of indecision because at this juncture, anything can happen. We might tend to consolidate before moving up, or we might even consolidate before going slightly down. Let's move on to the daily chart. On the daily chart, we saw a strong bounce coming out of this daily demand zone over here. And the markets rose pretty strongly. Now we do have a little bit of a barrier coming in, and if the markets do show some strength coming in, there will be a little bit of an interim barrier around this area over here. So 17,557 to 17,655 will be a level to watch out for this week. On the downside, we do not have any clear or clean level of demand. The level of demand is way below, and that's located right here. But it's at this point in time, it's a little far away from the current market price. Let's move on to Bank Nifty. Let's start with the monthly chart of the Bank Nifty, and let us see how the monthly chart is looking. So on the monthly chart, we are about to close slightly in an indecision mode. And let us see this week whether this candle closes as a doji candle. Doji indicates indecision, which again means that the market is taking a good support at this monthly demand level and now consolidating. So no clear picture on the monthly chart of the Bank Nifty. Let's look at the weekly chart. Last week, we did see some selling pressure, some bearish pressure coming on the Nifty, and obviously it's because of this area over here. So we will have to see this week now whether this area, which is this rally-based drop, continues to hold and market weakens, or the Bank Nifty becomes a little stronger and starts to move up. So there was a little bit of pressure on the heavyweight stocks such as HDFC Bank and the HDFC. So basically, they are the HDFC twins. And although Reliance was very, very strong last week, it was only Reliance which actually held the Nifty. But other than that, the market seemed pretty, weak. And the HDFC Bank stock this week is probably going to make a big difference to the movement in the Bank Nifty index. Let's move on to the daily chart. On the daily chart, again, we are seeing some selling pressure coming in. But again, if you look closely at the daily chart, we have these gap levels over here from where we are seeing some reaction coming in. So a level to watch out for will be this 36,845 to 37,742. Unless and until this level breaks to the upside. So maybe if the market does something like this and then this, then there is a possibility of the market moving to the upside. But in case if the market is unable to break this area, then we might continuously see Bank Nifty going for the low. Okay, so again, it will be a little interesting to see how the Bank Nifty shapes up. Looks like it's just going to be consolidating for another week, and it might test these highs again before deciding what's the next path for Bank Nifty. Let's look at USD INR. On the USD INR, again, we are going to be opening in the next 10 minutes on this USD INR market. We will exactly come to know what and how the Nifty will be opening. But if you look at the USD INR, the USD INR is also holding pretty strong at this 72 handle area. right? Although it has failed to sustain above the all-time high, there is some pressure coming in over here, but also there is some buying pressure also coming here. So this candle is still an open candle, and there are just a few days to go for this candle to close. So it'll be interesting to see how this candle closes. If this candle closes positive, and if it breaks this high and sustains above this high, then USD INR will continue its move to the upside. And if USD INR continues its move to the upside, that is going to bring the Nifty more or less in corrective mode, and Nifty will start moving down because both the USD INR and the Nifty are inversely correlated. All right, on an intraday time frame, if we look at the USD INR, there were some levels to watch out for. So let's go to a 60-minute chart. And if you look at this area, this is an interesting area to watch out for. This is going to be a barrier for the USD INR to move to the upside. And if you just see in the past few days, the USD INR is also more or less consolidating in this area over here, right? So there'll be a lot of traders waiting for this breakout to the downside, and there'll be a lot of traders waiting for this breakout to the upside. So this area is going to be a crucial area to watch out for. And in case if the market does hit this level, we might continue to move down strongly. So let us see if the markets do come to these levels and whether the index is put under some pressure if the USD INR strengthens. Let's look at crude oil. So crude oil is also very precariously placed right now after moving up very strongly. We are seeing some selling pressure coming in, but again, crude prices are rising. So if you go to an intraday chart on crude oil, there are a couple of levels to watch out for. Let's go to a 60-minute chart. And there is this area over here that we need to be a little careful, which probably might act as an obstruction for crude oil to move to the upside, right? So this is the crude oil futures contract. And depending on whether crude oil hits this area today, we could see market hitting this area, going a little bit more deeper into this area and then falling. And if crude oil pushes to the upside, then it might do something else. Okay. But again, this is a little bit of an interim barrier, and it's not going to be very easy for crude oil to break this area. So let's watch out for this week's movement in crude oil, which will probably decide the fate of the indexes as well. So for this week, we are going to be looking at the PSU bank sector. Every week, we do an analysis on the sector. And if we start looking now at the monthly chart, the PSU bank is indicating some kind of a momentum to the upside after making lows on these charts. If you look at the weekly chart, we are getting to see some bounce coming out of these areas over here, and this area is acting as a very, very strong support for the market. Looking at this, we are going to be identifying an opportunity in one of the PSU bank stocks, and we'll look at that opportunity. But definitely, if you look at this 30-minute chart over here on the PSU bank, there is this level of demand, right? And there is also this gap area that one needs to watch out for. So now, how do we correlate this with timing the entry on, let's say, a PSU bank stock? So for today, we have picked up India Bank or Indian Bank. And if you look at Indian Bank, it also has a very, very similar area on the same time frame. So this is an opportunity where if the price does come into this area, and because PSU Bank is in a slightly strong momentum, we might see a bounce coming out of this area as well. Okay, so this is what we are expecting. And even better if the PSU bank is also in demand, which is the sector, and at the same time the stock is also in demand, right? So we can look at both as a positive correlation and time the entry on both the stock and the sector at the same time. All right, so this is from my end. I hope you have a wonderful trading week. See you all next week, same time, same place. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
We do not give any recommendations or financial advice. We request that the investors please consult their financial advisors or do their own research before investing.